In this video, we'll look at how to calibrate and use a pH meter. For this, you'll need the pH meter itself, an attached pH probe, a temperature probe, a large beaker, a bottle of distilled water, a roll of blue roll, and 2 pH buffers, usually pH 4 and 7. Firstly, remove the protective cap from the pH probe. It's important to do this, otherwise you won't get any readings. Secondly, place a large beaker under the pH probe and temperature probes. Then wash both of them thoroughly with distilled water. You can then remove the beaker and dry the 2 probes with a piece of the blue tissue paper. You should never leave the pH probe dry or in distilled water for more than a moment, as this can damage the probe. You're now ready for your first pH buffer, which in this case is pH 7. Carefully lower both of the probes into the solution, ensuring that the tips of the probes are submersed but not touching the bottom of the container. Then press Cal on the pH meter. Don't forget to give your pH buffer a little swirl just to make sure that the pH probe and temperature probes are completely covered and no air bubbles remain on the probe. You now need to wait for the pH meter to adjust to the buffer that you've put the probe into. Be patient, as this can take some time. Once you have a stable reading, press the Calibrate button once again. You'll notice how the pH meter adjusts its reading to match the pH buffer that you've used. You now need to wash the probes again using the same procedure as before. Place a large beaker underneath to catch the water. Wash thoroughly with distilled water and dry with blue roll. You're now ready for your second buffer, which in this case is pH 4. Again, lower the probes into the container and give the buffer a little mix. You now need to wait once again for the pH meter to give a stable reading. Once a stable reading has been achieved, press Cal for a final time. Again, you see how the pH meter adjusts the reading to match the buffer that you've used. Your pH meter is now ready to be used to take measurements from your samples. To do this, wash and dry your probes as you did before, and then simply lower both probes into a sample you wish to measure, giving the sample a bit of a mix as you do so. Then just wait for the reading to stabilize and note it down. If you have multiple samples to take readings from, simply wash and dry the probe in between each sample. You do not need to calibrate it again. If you need to leave the pH meter for up to an hour, submerge the probe in pH 4 buffer. Never leave it dry or in distilled water. For overnight and long-term storage, replace the cap on the pH probe. The protective cap contains a small amount of a 3 molar potassium chloride solution, so ensure this is there before replacing it. I hope you found this video useful, and thank you for watching.